San Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, whatever you guys want to talk about. You're here on Wrestling Observer Live. Bryan Alvarez will be here. We will actually be talking, we'll be having a little bit of gambling stuff later as well with our sponsors at thegreek.com. But today is you guys' phone calls. We're going to be determining where we go with the show. No guests, no regular guests today because we have just way too much news. And we're not going to have enough time to get through and way too much discussion since we weren't here last week because of the Pride show, which was one of the most interesting mixed martial arts shows ever. And there's a whole lot of controversy coming from that. And we saw, if you don't, in most parts of the country, except if you had a blackout, we saw SmackDown on Thursday with Stephanie McMahon against the A-Train. And we saw Raw on Monday with Jim Ross returning. We got SummerSlam coming up this weekend. And I'm just not that excited. Bob Sapp made his US K1 debut on Friday night on pay-per-view, and they did a big angle with Bob Sapp and Mike Tyson, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Bryan did one of his better issues of Figure 4, actually not the new one, but the one a week ago. Not that the new one wasn't good because it was really good, but the one when you spent 2 days on the road with the WWE. So if you want to talk about backstage at WWE, Bryan was there, and now, did anyone figure out who you were?
Not that I know of.
I can't believe that.
I had a hat and these dorky glasses and whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from anybody since?
No.
Oh, okay. Neither have I, as far as that goes. So that was a very entertaining story to read, though.
I didn't cause any trouble or anything like that. I just,
Well, then they would have found you.
That's right.
Yeah. So what...
the one thing about that issue was I don't want to say I got all praise for that issue because I did not. There were people that were unhappy.
Why? That was a really good issue.
Well, there were people unhappy that there was, not enough dirt.
Well, because it didn't happen.
What do you want me to make stuff up?
I mean, the best thing you had was that Stephanie McMahon thing about Zach needed a tan.
That's right. Zach needed a tan. But it was just very interesting to be back there and I think that some people have this idea that there's all this craziness backstage and everything like that, and reality it's just a lot of guys standing around and working out in the ring and, just like backstage before a show. Nothing really too exciting going on, but I did enjoy writing it and I enjoyed being there and it was a lot of fun, so that was good. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead to a break and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff and start taking phone calls right after this. If you want to join in, you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY, although all lines are lit up right now, and you'll have to wait until somebody hangs up to join in. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and there has been so much in the last week or so going on in pro wrestling and mixed martial arts. I think the first thing I'm going to talk to you about, Bryan, is the OVW television show, not from last Saturday, but from a week ago Saturday, which was like the best wrestling television show of the year. I would say by far.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great show for like 100 different reasons. It wasn't like you just had a great match. Are you still there?
I'm there.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. It wasn't like you just had like a great match or a great interview or a great interview building to a great match. It was like you had everything on this one show. You had the video package that explained everything from like the past 4 years. It all made sense. You had the great build to the match, the pre-match promos, the introductions in the ring with the belt. You had the great match. You had the great post-match. You had the storyline that tied everything together from about the past 3 years, and you had the storyline that tied everything together for today, and even tied together a storyline on SmackDown, and all of it. And it was incredible. And you had real emotion. You had people crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to do a review, but then I watched it twice and was like, okay, this is my headline story this week.
But really, for those of you who did not see it, go out of your way to get the...
August 2nd.
August 2nd?
Yep.
Yeah, August 2nd. OVW TV show, because it's, like, incredible. Okay. What else we're going to talk about? Pride. Pretty damn great show. I know. I'm going to talk about Damon the Dog Perry. Now, I don't know why he's there. He wasn't very good, although I got to say I did expect worse.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Michael Cole with charisma. That was the way I described him.
Yeah, Michael Cole with charisma. But you know what? When he this is the thing where he was better than Michael Cole in this one thing. And overall, I would still say Michael Cole's better just because he's done it more. But where he's better than Michael Cole is when he was talking about stuff that he clearly didn't know what he was talking about, that he was reading off a piece of paper. I believe that he knew what he was talking about. He said it with conviction, whereas when Michael Cole does that, I can just go, he's reading this off a piece of paper and he has no clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So he's better in that way. But that drunken scene where him and Boss Rutan were drinking the sake or whatever it was, the shots, and I just wanted to shoot that guy.
Well, luckily Boss has enough charisma that he saved that segment from being TNA quality.
Yeah, now I tell you what, though, boy, if they get rid of Boss, I'm
hoping that won't happen.
I am too. But show itself, what a great show.
It was a great show, and I just remember I was so excited when the show was, in the days leading up to the show, and it didn't let me down. Kind of like we were talking earlier about Michaels and Flair, how I was so excited for that one, and it did let me down. This one did not. And when it was over, I was so excited for the next show. So that's good. Yeah,
they have not announced pairings, but the most likely pairings as far as the light heavyweight tournament is Hidehiko Yoshida against Vanderlei Silva and Chuck Liddell against Quentin Jackson. Now, of the four, just judging from the show, I thought that Silva was the standout of the four.
Oh, yeah, he was. Well, I thought Quentin Jackson was a standout as far as interviews, but that's something totally different. In the ring, Silva, the double knee surgery, the new baby, all that good stuff, and he came in and just killed Sakuraba.
I tell you what, I mean,
destroyed him.
All those things, not only a new house, all that stuff, he had all those stresses, and then, I took one look at him, and I was just like, this guy, the one thing about Silva that's different from, like, a normal fighter is that... What?
Normal human being.
Is that it's like Silva's not a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal life stresses do not affect this man.
No, because he's not a normal human being. No, it's like I remember when there were some rumors about Frank Shamrock fighting Vanderlei about a year ago, and I remember emailing you that Frank was like, want to come over and babysit your son sometime, and I said like, this is not a good idea for him to fight Vanderlei because I know Vanderlei's not babysitting anyone's son. Oh, and here's your question for the day. What is the name of Vanderlei Silva's son? I don't know. You don't know? No, I don't know. Thor. That's right. I did know that. Yeah. And he wants him to be an ultimate fighter. How many fighters want their sons to be ultimate fighters? Yeah. He wants his son to be a fighter just like him. And his name's Thor. He's on his way. Oh, boy. Anyway. And the other scariest man who... Mirko Cro Cop. Yeah, Mirko Cro Cop. Oh, my God. Mirko Cro Cop and Fedor. That match may happen. It's not signed yet, but that may happen November 9th. And, oh, boy. Did you notice that when Mirko was calling out Fedor and they showed Fedor at ringside, Fedor did not, for a guy who's, like, destroyed, like, everyone in his path, he did not look so confident. Well, I would not have looked confident either. Yeah. Even if I had destroyed everyone in my path. Yeah. Because so was Cro Cop. Of late, yeah. But, I mean, God, he was devastating. That kick, wow. On a totally different subject. Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon. Oh, my God. What do you think about SummerSlam coming up? Oh, don't forget Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon. Oh, please. Shane McMahon. I'll tell you what, that the Raw show... After watching Pride on Sunday and then watching Raw on Monday, the lack of logic on Raw just was killing me. It was killing me. Yeah. And then Thursday, I mean, they had the great tag match with, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas against Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. So SmackDown opened pretty good. And then from there, it was just a bunch of nothing. No Kurt Angle, Benoit and Guerrero didn't wrestle. And then Stephanie McMahon wrestled A-Train in the main event. And the whole show was designed to build up Undertaker and A-Train for the pay-per-view this Sunday. And I'm sorry, I could care less about that match. Actually... I was doing the comment board the other day, and someone goes, why is A-Train getting a push, and do not answer that he's big? But that's the reason.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you want me to do? Lie?
Well, it's not like he's got pictures of Vince or anything like that. It's just that he's big.
Big, and Undertaker's big.
And Undertaker's big, so they like big guys against Undertaker.
Yeah.
So they can have big bad matches.
And actually, when I was walking around the back, those guys are really big.
Oh yeah.
Huge men.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing right there. Vince McMahon's a good-sized guy himself. So when he walks around and sees a big guy, he sees something. When he sees Kurt, even though Kurt could kill all of them, the bottom line is he looks at Kurt and goes, "Nah, I think I can take Kurt." But when he looks at Undertaker, he goes, "Nah, no way."
Yeah, but even seeing these really big guys, like seeing A-Train did not also make me go, God, they're right.
They're not right. Yeah, I know that.
And you would think that Vince, after God knows how many years, would have figured that out as well.
Well, there's a lot of things you would think.
Yeah.
But not necessarily. Just trying to think what else. NWA, TNA, I don't know what to say about them.
The show was better this week.
Well, AJ Styles and Loki had a very good match. Yeah, no, and America's Most Wanted always have good matches. And, hot crowd. They had a good show. Actually, they had a really good show. Bob Sapp. Oh, my God. They had this whole angle. Can you believe this? I can just imagine. The one thing that people haven't really talked about is that Ishii was standing there directing the angle. I know you haven't seen it, but he was in the ring directing the Bob Sapp Mike Tyson angle. And I'm going like, what? This is,
a little stick like a symphony director or whatever?
No. He had like Mike Tyson by the arm to make sure, like he always did, he's always in the right position for the cameras and everything.
Did Mike Tyson do any crotch chops?
No, he did not.
No.
And Maurice Smith's going to Bob. Mike's in this corner. You know what I mean? It's like they had this whole angle set up.
Oh, Mike couldn't find Bob?
No, Mike. All Mike had to do is hop the guardrail. Mike couldn't find Bob.
I thought you were like he was confused. And
no. Maurice Smith was telling Bob.
Oh, okay.
Where Mike was to make sure, that's when he calls him out and when they start the angle. So they had this whole angle set up. But they have to go through this informality of this match, and Bob is fighting Chemo, who has no stand-up, who Bob is going to obliterate. And the first minute of the fight, Bob is obliterating Chemo, and then I'm watching this, and all of a sudden I see Bob, and he's just huffing and puffing. He's a 356-pound man, huffing and puffing, and I'm going like, this isn't good. And Chemo, for the rest of the round, just beat Bob. Bob was wobbly-legged. I thought Chemo was going to win the fight.
Yeah.
I really did. And second round, Bob caught his breath and killed Chemo, but for... if that round had gone another minute, Bob was a goner. And can you imagine they spent like all that, however much money to get Mike Tyson and this whole angle, and they,
Well, Chemo and Mike Tyson.
What about Chemo?
They could have just done it with him instead.
Who would have cared?
Well, after he felled the beast, maybe a lot of people.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone would have cared. Chemo doesn't have that kind of charisma.
That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go ahead to a break right now, and we're going to come back. We're going to start taking phone calls right after this. You can call about anything you want. You listen to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific Time on the Sports Byline Radio Network. And a couple things I want to get to, and we'll talk about the newsletters in just a second. But I want to make mention that earlier this week, Ray Webby Jr. passed away. Ray Webby was a longtime wrestling writer. He was an independent wrestling promoter in the Minneapolis area. Also well connected with the boxing scene. Big advocate for the homeless. Very big into local politics. We had him on the show, I think, 3 times. He wrote 2 books on professional wrestling, Encyclopedia of Professional Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Collectibles, and that are, cool books with a lot of cool pictures and things like that. And, I've known him for a long, long time. Wrote for the Pro Wrestling Torch in the 80s, and very sad news, passed away at 48 is just too soon. Also, for those of you who heard about the Ring of Honor show last night or were there, Dan Maff, who took a kick to the head from Loki, and that was legit, was not cold. He's fine. In fact, he did not even have a concussion. They took him to the hospital, and he checked out fine, and he actually was doing pretty well, on the way home. I got a feeling that his head might be ringing today, though. And Jun Akiyama lost to Hiroyoshi Tenzan in the finals of the G1 tournament earlier today at Tokyo Sumo Hall. And from what I gathered, this year's G1 was really good, and I can't wait to get some tapes of that. And so, anyway, a lot of good stuff going on. If you look for it, there's a ton of good stuff going on. Unfortunately, if you don't look for it and you just watch on Monday and Thursday,
I'll be depressed.
It's hit and miss.
Saturday.
This week is sort of hit and miss. Of course, Wrestling Observer newsletter I put out every week. Bryan puts out Figure 4 weekly every week. For information on how to get both those publications, you can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. There's previews of this week's issue of both newsletters. And Bryan, I did want to mention also in this week's issue of Figure 4, the thing that you wrote about Rico Rodriguez's mom was really funny.
Thanks.
But this week's Observer is huge. There's so much stuff in there. I got profiles of every Hall of Fame candidate, their strengths, their weaknesses, how they've done in previous elections. So if you want to know about the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, which next week's issue will be the Hall of Fame issue itself, and we've talked about it on the show quite a bit of late. This is an issue to get. Plus, there's an article by Mick Foley who writes about his book and the reaction to his book. And got news on WWE buy rate, which was not good, by the way, for Vengeance. And what else? Just jammed with news. And then next week, of course, will be the Hall of Fame issue. So if you haven't gotten it.
Giant Ochiai's death.
Giant Ochiai passed away this week. We talked about that. He passed away last week.
That's right.
Yeah. He was fought for Pride, was training for WJ. Very mysterious circumstances surrounding his death, too, because Riki Choshu and Kenzo Suzuki, who were there, have not talked publicly about what happened, other than, I guess he took a bad bump. I actually talked to someone who was there, and they said that it's not a scandal. I mean, he just took a bad bump. It wasn't like he was beaten up and died or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's a very sad story. He was only 30 years old, and he was the 12th death of a pro wrestler inside the ring, although his was actually not in a match, but in training. Anything going on you're working on in Figure 4 this week?
I'm going to do the Ohio Valley cover story, and I'd also like to note that anybody who's interested in the Backstage at WWE story, if you order this week, that issue will be emailed to you, as well as this past week's issue, which had all the Pride stuff, so you can get both of those free with your order. So all that stuff is up at WrestlingObserver.com. Cool.
That's cool. That's a good deal. Yeah, let's just go to the phones. We're going to start with John in Chicago. John, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing really good, actually.
Yeah, I'm one of those unlucky few who haven't taken the time to explore the alternatives there.
You really should, because there's so, I can't even keep up with the good. So I can joke about the bad, and I will joke about the bad, because I'm not going to have a bad time watching wrestling. A lot of people, may not understand this, but if there's a bad show, I'm going to sit there and take notes and write jokes, because I'm not going to have a bad time spending 4 hours a week watching wrestling. If there's a good show, then I'm even happier. So put it that way.
You learned that from the death of WCW, didn't you?
Yeah. The end of Thunder. All I did was write comedy, because I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours and watch this horrible stuff and at least not find some humor in it.
Yep.
Well, it's forced me to cut down almost like in half, so sometimes I'm only catching like 2 hours at most. Mm-hmm. But, question for you. I was talking to a couple of my friends who have basically totally lost interest right now. But
well, that's a serious subject, because people are losing interest. And they've been for 2 years now.
And if they've turned on or something like that, if they've like flipped through Confidential, they were asking me, why are they promoting WrestleMania 20 already? And
they want it to be
because Vince is in the main event.
Vince will be in the main event. They want it to be, it's symbolic.
Right.
It's a real big deal. They're going to the Garden, and Vince right now is into legacy and history, because he's 58 years old and he's thinking differently than he did when he was 48 years old.
But we were thinking about what's going to happen after that, because right now it seems like the whole push is to WrestleMania 20. Let's get over there. Let's make this.
Probably the same thing that happened after WrestleMania 17.
So basically, because they have no invasion angle to fall on. What else do they have to?
I don't know. That's why.
The only good thing they don't have an invasion angle to fall back on.
But it's basically character development.
They got to make young stars. We've been saying that for years, and either they will or they won't. And just like every wrestling company that's ever existed, they don't and they go out of business, or they do and they keep going.
What do you see? What do you think the consensus is right now, if you had to think, if you were taking a pulse on it, of who will win the Elimination Chamber? Hunter? Because
Hunter or Goldberg, I think.
Because I was thinking, wouldn't it make? I understand this is going against their booking, but wouldn't it make the most sense to put Jericho?
You know, he
because he's working house shows. He's got the highlight reel.
I wrote that. I wrote that like that would be a good one. I just don't think they're going to do it.
I'll tell you why I don't think they're going to do it, because the big deal right now is not Chris Jericho. And Jericho is going to beat Nash, and then Nash is going to eliminate him.
Yep.
And then everybody's going to expect Hunter to lose because he's injured, but he's not going to, because the match was designed to keep him from being injured and doing a 2-minute match. And he'll just keep the belt and defend it against Goldberg in the next show.
The thing that it doesn't make me it just confuses me. It's just that the fact that he's got an injury. Okay, there's this would be the perfect time to give him a few months off.
He doesn't want a few months off. Well, and the doctor didn't tell him to take a few months off. The doctor told him to take 6 weeks off. But by the time of the pay-per-view, there's only 3 or 4 of those left. I thought like 3 of them left, I think.
So because you've got these limited options. So if you go with Goldberg, he's not going to be on house shows. You know?
Limited house shows, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Hunter's limited house shows too because he's hurt. And Nash is limited house shows.
And you've got Nash, you've got Michaels, you've got Randy Orton. To me, it's just a logical choice. But again,
there's I could see it, and it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me that happens. A lot of people are thinking Jericho's going to win, but.
And you don't see the title switching hands between Angle and Lesnar, right?
Oh, I think that's very possible. That
really?
Very possible that Lesnar might win. Oh yeah, very very possible.
Why would you say that?
Just because it is. Because Vince is managing Lesnar. So what does that tell you? Vince's guys aren't going to be losing so quick. Not right after they turned. I mean, he could do a screw up and things like that, but no, I mean, Vince.
So they may go with an injury angle again with Angle, and then
they can't do another injury angle with Angle. No, that would be a bad idea.
Why they put the belt on him at all?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like,
well, then maybe he'll win. I don't know.
Well, thanks for taking my call, Dave.
Okay, no problem. We're going to go to Jeff in New York. Jeff, what's going on?
What's going on? I got. My first question is actually about Bob Sapp and the Mike Tyson confrontation there.
Yes.
If it actually takes place, who do you guys think would win in either a K1 or a boxing match?
Mike Tyson will kill him.
With both.
Mike Tyson will kill him in either a K1 or a boxing match.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's not conditioned.
Unless it's a 1-minute time limit or 90-second time limit.
Is this what I mean? The consequences of actually the match happening and Mike Tyson beating him is probably more negative for K1 than positive. Would you say?
Well, if they get Mike Tyson, I think that's positive no matter what.
Yeah, because it could become a legendary thing in Japan, and it could very well put K1 on the map in the United States. So, if they sign Mike Tyson to a long-term deal and he becomes the number 1 guy instead of Bob Sapp, hey, that's not the worst thing either. And maybe that's the right thing for Mike Tyson. I don't know. But for K1. He gives them, just like with WWF in 1998, Mike Tyson gave them a chance to get a lot of publicity, and then they were able to build around that publicity. Mike Tyson was a key part of the turnaround. And with K1, they don't have a name in this country, and if Mike fights Bob Sapp, if that match happens, and it looks like it probably will, everyone will know K1, at least for a week, and then they just have to have a really loaded show. So, people get interested in, whoever else that's on the show, Mirko Krokop, although he's on the outs with him. That would actually be the guy. But, some of those other guys start getting, get a little bit of a rub, and maybe they have a chance, and maybe, we'll see.
All right. And my other question is, for both of you, what's your opinion on Jeremy Wall's piece on the top 30 MMA fighters?
Jeremy Wall's piece. Did you read that, Bryan?
I just got it, and I haven't read the whole thing yet.
I read it. It was a lot of work. I wouldn't agree with the order if that's what you mean, but I thought it was a very interesting and informative piece overall. But you know what? on that thing, you could not get two people in the world to agree on the order of the top 30 mixed martial artists because you're talking about three different eras basically. Even though it's only like 10 years, and you're talking about just different styles of fighters. A could beat B, but B could beat C, but it's like the way that whole thing goes. But I thought it was very, very well written and very well researched, and I enjoyed reading it. I don't know who I could pick number one. Who can pick the best one from the last 10 years? Everyone's got their black mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like most important, I would say Sakuraba because of how much he's drawn. But I can't say he's the best because he's been beaten 6 times, 3 times by Silva alone. Yeah. So the best. You could say I could say Silva, but Tito beat him, Vitor Belfort beat him. Mark Holman's been beaten. Nogueira's been beaten. Everyone's been beaten except for Mirko, and Mirko hasn't beaten enough top guys to be number one either. So it's a tough rank. It's very, very tough to rank. In fact, it's impossible. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. I want to make a quick mention in regard to what our last caller called about. Jeremy Wall, who actually does the recaps of this show on our website, does a newsletter called A Touch of Evil. It's a very well-written newsletter, and he did, in his last issue, huge issue, by the way, a background and profile of his
30 pages.
Yeah, top 30 mixed martial artists of all time, and he had Mark Coleman number one. So, anyway, just wanted to mention that. And we have Chris from thegreek.com talking about, SummerSlam. What's going on?
How you doing, Dave?
Doing great.
Oh, 1 week away from the WWE's second best pay-per-view of the year, I hope.
I don't think it's going to be second best, but hopefully.
On Monday?
What?
Vengeance was unreal.
Vengeance was a great show. Yeah. I don't know that this one's going to be as good as Vengeance.
Well, the problem is they're putting these matches. It looks like half of them at the last minute.
Yeah, I know. We don't even know the whole card.
I mean, they announced today Zach Gowen against Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy and Zach Gowen has been announced for the show. Well, I think they announced last night. Yeah.
What do you think about that match? Matt Hardy cannot lose that match.
Oh, anything can happen, but yeah, I don't expect him to lose. But I don't know. I don't know.
Let's see. Let's go with, who do you like for the Elimination Chamber?
Who do I like?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. I will say Bill Goldberg. And Bryan will say Triple H.
We got Bill Goldberg at plus 250.
Yes.
Chris Jericho plus $1.25.
Mm-hmm. So you have him as the favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Triple H plus $1.25.
So you got Jericho and Triple H as co-favorites. Okay.
Then Michael's 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton and Kevin Nash at 12-1.
I wouldn't bet on them even with those odds.
I agree with you, but we got to put odds on.
If Kevin Nash wins, then those guys are betting in the company, and I don't like that.
If Kevin Nash wins, I'll be surprised. But you never know. With Vince, you can never tell what's going to happen with the booking.
Oh, that's for sure.
I mean, we've seen stuff in the last couple pay-per-views, and I will admit, Undertaker and Cena was a classic example.
Yeah, it sure was.
I mean, all the internet buzz was on Cena at the last minute, and then the Undertaker gets the win.
Yeah, well, that it was supposed to be Cena.
I thought so. I thought Cena was going to win.
He was supposed to, but then Vince changed his mind. So that's what happened. Let's see. So, what about Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle?
Brock Lesnar, we have Kurt Angle minus $1.85. Brock Lesnar plus 155, and that's for the U.S. heavyweight.
No, that's SmackDown Championship.
SmackDown Championship.
Yeah, U.S. is the four-way with Eddie Guerrero, Tajiri, Rhino, and Chris Benoit.
Oh, they put Tajiri in there now?
Yeah, Tajiri's been added to that match, yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you for that info.
Well, there you go.
On that match right now, we're looking out. We'll change the odds, but right now we have Eddie Guerrero minus 250, Chris Benoit plus 3-1, and Rhino 8-1, and Tajiri will be 8-1 too. Okay. Because right now Eddie Guerrero is riding such a hot streak, it's unreal.
Yes, I just don't know if they know it as much as we do.
He is so over, but Vince doesn't realize he's so over.
Oh, yeah, he may, and he may not. I never know what they know and what sinks in.
We do it. I'll tell you this.
How about Undertaker and A-Train?
Nothing on that.
Okay.
Nothing on that match at all. Because, and put it this way, if Cena didn't win, A-Train Bryan sure as heck isn't winning that match.
I sure hope not.
We also have a special, it's called Who Will Pull Off Their Signature Move First in the Elimination Chamber match.
Okay. I have no clue.
With the jackhammer, plus 350. Triple H with the pedigree, 3-1. Jericho with the walls of Jericho, 3-1. Kevin Nash with the jackknife powerbomb, 325. And Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music, plus 350.
Okay.
So we're trying to give the average fan, when you're watching a match, a lot of options to bet on.
How about for the hair match tomorrow?
No, nothing. We all know Kevin Nash is not winning.
Okay.
He signed for that movie. He's having his haircut, correct?
Correct, yes.
But we are going to have a price in the morning on Test and Scott Steiner.
Okay.
We haven't decided the price yet, but we will have that up there, I'd say, by 9 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, anything on the TNA matches for Wednesday?
We basically stopped doing TNA. That booking is too crazy for us.
Okay.
I mean, you told me last time the booking was crazy, and trust me, we had to learn the hard way that it is crazy.
I know when you do 2 straight draws and ladder matches.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. Got anything up for Pride?
Yes, we do. Let me see what we got here. I'm just looking at my sheet here. Pride. What is the date on that? So I know for
November 9th.
November 9th. Yes, we do have something. Let me find it on here for you. Pride, November 9th. Here we got the matchups and everything for you. Okay, Merkel, what's his name?
Mirko Krokop?
Against Fedorov.
Fedor Emelianenko? Fedor?
Yeah, they're both minus 120 each way.
Oh, pick 'em.
A pick 'em fight.
Oh, interesting.
And let's see what else we have on odds to win. And we have, looking at the odds to win the Grand Prix Finals tournament.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, these names I cannot pronounce, trust me.
Well, I can.
Here at
Hiko Yoshida.
That's the guy. He's plus 4-1.
Okay.
Vladarili Silva.
Vanderlei Silva.
Right. He's plus 170. I'm doing great with the names, aren't I?
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell, I know him, 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And Quentin Jackson is 2-1.
Okay.
Nothing on the field yet.
Well, that's it. Those 4 are it.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, unless one of them gets injured and somebody gets thrown in.
So right now that's exactly what we have on Prime. We also have, let's see, how about UCF? Do you follow that at all?
No.
Okay. Do they have the Tank Abbott match?
Tank Abbott's fighting? You mean UFC?
Yeah, UFC. That's it.
Yeah, UFC's Tank Abbott's fighting Cabbage in November or something.
Oh, right. And Cabbage is minus 225. Tank Abbott plus 185.
Yeah, that might be a good bet. Not to bet on Tank Abbott.
And there will be odds going up on over and under on rounds, and who will win by DQ or decision.
I don't think that one's going to a decision. It may, but I don't think it's going to go to a decision. How about, since we got you, how about, what's the date? September 26th, Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz.
Tito Ortiz is going to be sponsored by TheGreek.com when he comes to the ring.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So that means you got to favor him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it means that, but.
Let me see if he has any odds on this yet. Nothing. I don't see anything on that yet.
Okay, because that's going to be a very interesting fight when it comes up.
Tito Ortiz, that kid's an animal.
Yeah, he is. But Randy Couture is not like most mortal men either.
So that should, I don't follow that. Oh, here it is. We do have it.
Okay.
Tito Ortiz is minus 180, and Randy Couture is plus 150.
Okay, it should be noted that every single fight that Randy Couture is the underdog in, he has always won.
Wow. He could beat Tito, huh?
Oh, he could very well beat Tito. I don't know who will win, but I think it's going to be a very tight fight.
Now, Tito Ortiz is the guy who retired Ken Shamrock, right, in Vegas last time?
Well, he beat Ken Shamrock, and I don't know what's going on with Ken Shamrock right now.
Nobody knows.
He was supposed to be in Japan last week, but he didn't go, so, I don't know what's going on with him for the future.
Yeah, I heard you talking about Bob Sapp and Tyson. That should be an interesting...
That'll be interesting. I don't know the date on that. I'm going to try to find out more on that tomorrow.
I talked to our guy who does a boxing. He's got insight on all that stuff.
What did he say?
He said it was all set up, Tyson and Sapp.
Oh, yeah, of course, in the ring, of course it was, yeah.
He said Sapp is very well protected because he's making so much money in Japan and he's like an icon over there.
Absolutely, but that doesn't mean he's going to be able to beat Tyson.
He also said the thing about Sapp, he runs out of energy real quick. Yeah,
about a minute and a half. No, maybe last night, on Friday night it was a minute.
A minute?
Yeah, usually you can get about 2 minutes in, but I think that he's been... living the good life, so he only lasted a minute before he ran out of energy. So, yeah, no, Sapp doesn't have the stamina. I don't think he ever will at that body weight. He's just so big.
They think if Tyson hits him, it's all over.
Tyson's going to beat him if it's a stand-up fight. I mean, the only way Sapp would have a chance is if they go with mixed martial arts rules, in which case I think Sapp would have a pretty good chance.
Yeah, all you got to do is kick Tyson's leg, then it's all over with.
Well, I mean, if it's K1, he can kick Tyson's legs, but I don't think that's going to... I don't think that Sapp's kicking is good enough that that's going to make a difference before he blows up.
So we're not going to see an Inoki fight in Ali like we saw in the 70s?
We're not going to see a 15-round fight, no. Absolutely. That's the one thing. No, if you put odds against that there's going to be a knockout, believe me, there's going to be a knockout in that fight.
I mean, because I remember that fight in the 70s. That was just, Inoki was in a crab position the whole time.
Yeah. Well, the rules were not in his favor on that fight, so...
Any other matches you'd like to know about we're offering?
I don't know. I think that's pretty much...
Oh, wait. We got the Eric Bischoff-Shane McMahon match.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, and then we got Kane and Rob Van Dam.
We didn't put anything on that one yet because I have to see, after this week's Raw, what's actually going to be going on with that.
You're not going to like it.
Oh, that bad, huh?
This week's Raw. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Oh, on the Bischoff-McMahon match, we have Eric Bischoff plus 190. And Shane McMahon minus 250.
Okay.
And that should be an interesting match.
I do not see Eric Bischoff beating Shane twice.
No, either do. Well, I can't see it.
In his entire life.
Has he won a match on TV yet, besides having Kane win the match for him?
But Eric's in a position to be humiliated, for life, and so he's not going to build up a lot of heat.
I didn't think so. I mean, Shane McMahon is crazy for the bumps he takes anyway.
Yeah, he is. And he beat Kane to death.
I think,
blood in his mouth.
We got a lot of sign-ups off your show. TheGreek.com appreciates it, and we hope we get more.
Cool.
And if anybody has any questions about, wrestling events they want to see or any props on sports, you can email me at props@thegreek.com.
Okay, cool, Chris.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Okay, we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Well, that's interesting stuff. Okay, we're going to go to Jonathan in Savannah. Jonathan, what's going on? Actually, it's Derek in Buffalo. Take that back.
Hey, D, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
I just actually had a question going back to the Bob Sapp-Tyson situation.
Yes.
I wanted to know what kind of match do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be mixed martial arts, K1, or standard boxing rules?
I think it will probably be K1, just guessing. If it's boxing...
I don't think Tyson will be dumb enough to do MMA.
Yeah, because MMA Sapp has a good shot at winning.
Yeah.
But standard boxing, I think that they'll go with K1 just with the idea that it's sort of semi-neutral, but really it favors Tyson because, Bob Sapp is not a great leg kicker. I don't know that a great leg kicker could beat Mike Tyson, but he might be able to just because Mike Tyson's never taken him.
Tyson will definitely beat him. If it's K1 or boxing, Tyson will kick him.
Oh, yeah, he'll beat him, and he'll beat him fast, too.
Also, do you think that Hemo, there's a slight chance that he might have thrown that fight?
No, and I'll tell you why, because if he would have, it wouldn't have gone like that at all. you don't beat up a guy you're supposed to lose to for real and when they're out of gas because Sapp almost lost that fight himself without Chemo's help.
Okay, I really appreciate it, guys.
Okay, very welcome. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez, a Figure 4 Weekly, and we'll be here for another hour right after this news break. But I want to go to, for real, we're going to go to Jonathan in Savannah, Georgia. Jonathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Dave?
Not too much.
I have 3 questions for you, and one of them I'll try to make quick, and I was wondering if I don't get through the other 2, if I could stay on after the break.
Okay.
Okay, my first question, or actually the first one's a comment, and I was wondering, this just boggled my mind. On SmackDown between when the A-Train Stephanie match, in the middle of the match or whenever Taker came out, when he's just standing at the top of the ramp or I guess at the top of the entrance or whatever, and A-Train comes running full speed the whole length of the ramp, and Taker just nonchalantly ducks, turns around and just drops the A-Train. It just makes, I don't know.
It's Undertaker.
It makes no sense for him to, but
got deceptive speed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But my first question is about Eddie Guerrero, and I was curious. I read that interview that Alex Marvez did with Conan, talking about Hispanics in wrestling, and my question with that is, like, a lot of people seem to, and you were talking about earlier about Eddie's real over right now. Even though he's supposed to be a heel or whatever, he's still getting cheered, and it's not just by, like, Latino people.
Yeah, he's got a lot of charisma, which is funny for a guy who's been in the business for over 15 years to pick up so much, right now. But yeah. Right,
and I was curious. Do you think Vince, with like the Hispanic population being like, since it's now like the second largest,
yes,
overtook as it's the biggest minority.
Right.
Do you think Vince should, like, since they've lost some of the fans, should they try to capitalize on like a new market?
Absolutely. Well, the Hispanic market is actually huge on SmackDown. It's the #1 rated show of any kind among Hispanics in the United States. So, and Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio are probably a small part of that. But even before they were big, it was like a huge Hispanic, show. Hispanics love professional wrestling more than most groups, and I think it would make great sense to have Eddie Guerrero as one of the top baby faces in the company, like top 2 or 3 right now, just for that reason, and just because he's good enough that he can pull it off. Okay, hold on, because we got to go head to a break right now, okay? We're back right after this hourly break. You're listening to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Okay, welcome to the second hour here on Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We also want to mention that joining our station lineup today is KLO 1430 AM from Salt Lake City, Utah. And I want to thank General Manager Dan Jessup for joining our network. And we are going to go if you want to join in this show, by the way, you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY, although all lines are lit up. But we are going to go back to Jonathan in Savannah, Georgia. Jonathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Dave? Thanks for letting me stay on.
Okay.
My last question for you was about the guy, I think it was the first caller, was talking about how they need to build new stars, and that's what they need to do. That's what they should be doing. That's what they need to be doing, but when you look at it with how they do it, like, take for Cena and Undertaker, even though Cena should got the pin and they changed the thing, right?
Yes.
Whenever they face each other on SmackDown, Cena gets the pin again, but it doesn't really do anything for him because one is on SmackDown.
Well, the fact that it was on SmackDown isn't so negative. The fact of the problem with that was how it was done and who was elevated and where do they follow up. If the guy beats the Undertaker and then gets a title shot, then it meant something. When the guy beats the Undertaker with outside help, and then the guy who interfered and the Undertaker are wrestling in the main match on the pay-per-view, and John Cena, who won the match, is never referred to and doesn't have a match on the pay-per-view, then no, it meant nothing. And
it'd actually be better on SmackDown because you got a network show with 5.5 million people or whatever watching it.
Right.
Whereas the pay-per-view, you're gonna have whatever the hell this pay-per-view did, 220.
Maybe, but the thing on that is that. A pay-per-view match, though, because it's on pay-per-view, has more impact generally, and people remember it more than a SmackDown show. But either way, it doesn't matter. If it's done right, it's effective, and if it's followed up on. This one was neither done right nor followed up on, so it meant nothing.
Right, because the same thing happened with the with the FBI, where they beat up on the Undertaker for a couple weeks, and they got the clean pin on him or whatever, and they turn around and they get destroyed. I don't know if it was on the pay-per-view or it was some match. They had beaten him like 3 or 4 weeks or something. They kept getting the pin on them, and then they just got completely destroyed. And then, like, where are they now? They're wrestling Velocity.
Yeah.
And what are they? Did they send them down to OVW? Was that?
Well, they're in OVW in between when they're not working house shows. Yeah, they were sent back there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. What is their deal with Cena? Is it just like he's still too green? But I mean, Orton's just as. Cena and Orton are the two guys that everyone in the company talks about, as the future of the company. So they have high hopes for him, but right now, they can't pull the trigger on, they didn't pull the trigger when they had the chance, and that's Vince. Vince won't pull the trigger. Yeah, and my last quick question, and then I'll go, is do you know who Christian's new opponent's going to be, and what's the update on Book?
No, Booker's 6 weeks out, from what I heard, which is estimate, and Christian, I know he worked with Balvinus all weekend, but I don't know. They'll probably shoot an angle for that tomorrow, and I'm not sure. Okay, we'll be back right after this. You'll listen to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 to 7 Pacific Time on the Sports Byline Radio Network. We got a full bank of phone calls. We are going to go to Ed in San Antonio. Ed, what's going on?
Hey, guys. What I want to talk to you today is about something I read on the internet that I got kind of a kick out of. And
okay.
That's the little feud that's going on between Jim Cornette and Wade Keller.
Yes.
I didn't actually read what Wade Keller reported. I just read what Jim Cornette's response was.
Yes.
And I was wondering, what's going on? I mean, is there any truth to anything, or is it just two guys just blatantly don't like each other and just trying to, just talk bad about each other?
It's pretty complicated. Jim Cornette hasn't liked Wade Keller for many, many years. What happened was, a guy who writes for the Torch, his name's James Gutman, I believe is his name, was going to do a story on Jim Cornette's other recent escapade when he wrote a letter to one of the Louisville weekly papers about Ian Rotten, and he wanted to do a story on Jim Cornette and Ian Rotten, and Jim Cornette said he wouldn't talk to him because he's writes for the Torch and he doesn't like Wade Keller, and he used a lot more colorful language than that. So then Wade Keller mentioned, and I wish I had the wording in front of me because it's the wording itself that's important. What he basically said was that Vince McMahon is considering dropping OVW. I mean, he actually said shutting down OVW, which Vince actually couldn't do because OVW is owned by Danny Davis, and even if Vince pulled out, it wouldn't shut down OVW. OVW was around long before it had a developmental deal, and will probably be around after there's a developmental, if it's pulled out or not. And then Jim Cornette, went off. He shouldn't be talking about beating people up. He's 40 years old, or 41 now. Actually, Jim's going to turn 42 in a couple of weeks now that I think about it. But, how can I say this? There's so much to this. I don't know who Wade Keller got the story from, but the idea that it has been thought about in WWE or by Vince McMahon, I would not doubt that if the subject is brought up to Vince McMahon, Vince, someone probably could have brought that up at any time. I'm sure it's brought up all the time. Well, what about this OVW? For whatever reason. There's always backstabbers going around. I don't know who they would be. People who have different opinions on a lot of things. So the idea, it'd be like me reporting this week that Vince McMahon is thinking of bringing in Sting. You know what? I'm sure at some point over the next 7 days or over the last 7 days, the thought has popped into Vince McMahon's mind, maybe I should bring in Sting. I don't know if that's a news story, and I don't know, again, and I'm not going to knock Wade because I don't know who he heard it from or what. Now, Jim Cornette believes he just made it up, and because of the time coincidence thing, and that's why he went off, and I'm just trying to think what else. Is there anything more that you want me to answer on that? But, as far as I don't believe that there is any movement whatsoever to drop OVW right now. But things can always change. But I don't think there is, and there was not. As far as was it seriously talked about dropping OVW, as best I can tell, and believe me, I checked, not seriously talked about whatsoever.
Yeah, that would be a really bad move considering, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy, all this new talent.
Yeah, if you took out, if there was no OVW, WWE would be dead right now because they would have no new talent.
But they don't realize that.
No, they don't know that. And then also there's people who are, because the company isn't doing well, it's a lot easier to blame the people who train the new talent because, the new talent, let's face it, none of the new talent, okay, is walked in and drew like Hulk Hogan did when he came in 1984. So therefore, there are things that can be said like, well, they're training these guys and none of them are walking in and drawing big. Of course, Kurt Angle and Triple H and Undertaker and all those guys, that have been around and, not that Angle's been around for a long time, but even, Steve Austin's around and Rock pops in. And none of them draw big right now either. So it's like nobody's fault. It's just overall fault of it is someone's fault. It's Vince McMahon's fault. But yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask like a question on about Mirko Kokoff and Fedor.
Yes.
What do you? I haven't really seen too much of Marco except for this last fight, which really impressed me. The way he just floored Igor. That was so impressive. Is his ground like? I know he has a good shot to knock Fedor out because he doesn't have a strong chin. But if Fedor was to take him down, do you think he's improved enough to where he could fight him off? Or
I think if Fedor got him down, Fedor's got good control, and Fedor will hurt him on the ground. I don't know that he will knock him out.
What's he training with on the ground?
He's training with a guy. I forget his name, but it's he's actually training with the guy Mike whatever that Alistair Overeem destroyed at the Pride before this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know how good.
He's never been really tested.
Yeah, he's never been really tested on the ground other than Fujita is a very good wrestler. And Fujita had a real tough time taking him down on New Year's Eve. And when he could take him down, he couldn't do anything with him. Sakuraba is much smaller. Sakuraba did get him down, but he punched from the bottom or kicked from the bottom. I forget which, but he hurt Sakuraba from the bottom. He could possibly do that to Fedor, but Fedor on top of you has that explosive power. It will be. It would put Krokop in a situation that he has never been in before. Plus, if you watch how Fedor, really did choke on Kazuki Fujita. That was impressive because nobody's ever choked out Fujita before. So, it's a very intriguing fight because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if Fedor can't get him down, he's in a world of trouble. But he may very well get him down, and then we don't know. We don't know, how good Mirko's ground defense is. We don't know if he can avoid getting hurt.
Prediction right now.
What would my prediction be right now?
Yeah.
If I'm going to predict, I will predict Mirko.
Yeah, me too. I mean, just the way he did that sidekick. I mean, I guess Yuji Nagata doesn't feel too bad now.
No, I don't think he does because there's some pretty darn good people who've taken the same kick now.
Yeah, for Igor, Igor's a tough guy. I just couldn't believe the way he went down like that. That was a perfect kick, though.
That was his first knockout ever, right?
That's the first time he's ever been knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrifying. Guys, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Okay, you're very welcome. Yeah, it is terrifying, isn't it? Go to Dan in Chicago. Dan, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing really good.
NWA TNA, September 10th, I was told that it was going to be a penny.
Yes, 1 cent pay-per-view. It'll be a highlight show of the last year. And I want to tell everyone, if you have never watched NWA TNA, spend that penny on that show because they're going to show the match with Christopher Daniels and Ilk Skipper against Chris Harris and James Storm. And believe me, for a penny, for $1, for $10, that match is worth seeing. That was a great match. And they're going to show the...
pardon me. It's not going to be a live event then?
No. It's going to be a tape of the highlights from the past year. But I would say that anyone who does not watch NWA TNA regularly, go out of your way to watch that one because for a penny you can't go wrong.
Right, exactly. All right, and my thoughts on professional wrestling lately.
Yes.
It sucks. Pardon my French, but it just.
Well, you know what? This is what we said this before in the first hour. You got to look because believe me, I can't keep up with the good professional wrestling that I want to see between the Tori Human and the OVW and everything like that. There's so much good professional wrestling. If you don't like WWE, watch something else. Bryan and I have to watch WWE, and I'm gonna have fun watching WWE no matter what, even if it's bad. But I can understand people's sentiments because I watched Raw on Monday and SmackDown on Thursday. This was not a good week for WWE programming, but just go out there and search, and you'll find a lot of good wrestling out there right now.
I went to actually yesterday to a fair with my girlfriend, and they had, I don't know if you ever heard of Windy City Wrestling.
Yeah, that's local in Chicago. Yeah, I've heard of it, and I used to watch tapes of it years ago.
It wasn't too bad, some parts were, but it was a lot better than I got into it a little bit because I didn't really know really any of the storylines, but I enjoyed the wrestling. It was free, it was at a fair.
Yeah.
But me and my girlfriend, we had a good time, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now, it's been a while since I've had a girlfriend. Do you think maybe the reason why I'm pulling away from wrestling is because I want my other interests?
It's possible, but
that happens.
Yeah, it's possible, but I think the reason you're pulling away from wrestling is because you've seen a lot of bad wrestling lately. That's my guess.
Monday, I enjoy Mondays sometimes. Thursdays, what was the last week I was gonna tape it, and I forgot to tape it. But here's the thing: I wasn't sad about missing it.
You missed a good match early, and then you missed nothing else after that.
Okay.
The tag team title match is really good, but I thought it was one of the weakest SmackDowns in a long time, and I usually like SmackDown. Okay.
With the Lesnar Angle thing.
Yes.
Where are they going with it? I mean, I heard Lesnar beat the crap out of Spanky, was it?
Yeah, that was actually you know what? That was actually well done for what it wasn't like a great match, but Spanky did a great job, and Lesnar was really aggressive, and that was good stuff.
Great job.
What?
He was totally destroyed.
Yeah, but it was effective though.
It was, but it would have been hard not to do a good job being thrown into that post.
Yeah.
Would have made Angles. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, real quick.
Would have made Angles come back a little bit better if he was gone longer.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And if they followed up on it when he came back better, which they did not do, it was really good. You know, they made a big mistake on just. They made him into the old Kurt Angle too quick. They could have made him into a new character. We got to go to a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. If you're interested in subscribing to either of those publications, you can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. There's subscription information on both publications, previews of both publications for this week, and as well as we have news updated throughout the day, all throughout the week, TV reviews, all that kind of stuff, and issues coming out. A lot of good stuff, as we mentioned in the first hour. Bryan, a couple weeks back, did an issue on backstage at the WWE. Very, very good issue. This week's issue with covering the Pride was good. This week's Observer, next week's Observer are very strong issues. I mean, this week's, of course, next week's the Hall of Fame. This is a Hall of Fame preview. And yes, Bryan. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay. I thought you said something.
I was preparing to. You might have read my mind.
Okay, no, go ahead then.
I was going to ask how happy you were going to be when this Hall of Fame issue is done.
Not right away. I think it's going to take about 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten. But it's longer than that.
Yeah, it might take a year. Anyway, all right, we're going to go to John in Poughkeepsie. John, what's going on?
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
I wanted to talk about last night's Ring of Honor show.
Okay.
I was there last night.
In Fairfield, yes.
Yes. Yeah, Danny Math pretty much got his butt kicked.
Yeah, I know. He took a springboard kick. Describe what happened to him.
All right. First of all, the show was really good. I've been to better Ring of Honor shows, but the show was pretty good up until this point. They were going for 5 or 10 minutes, and Math was pretty much on offense the entire time. And it looked like what happened was Low-Key was about ready to make his comeback. He did a springboard kick off the rope. He kicked Math in the head, and then time kind of just stood still.
Mm-hmm.
He just walked around the ring for a minute, and then he covered him. I think that he thought Moth might have kicked out of the pin. The ref counted 2, and then he just reluctantly counted 3 and rang the bell, and that was it.
Yeah.
And everybody started running to the ring. The ring announcer told us to go home. The show was over.
Yeah. Well, they kind of panicked, I think, when he got hurt.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think I've seen Low-Key kick people harder than he did.
He must have. They thought he hit like the right spot in the temple. Maybe could that have been it?
That's what I was going to say. I think he hit him like at the right angle, at the right time, in the right spot of the body, and it just knocked him off loopy.
Yeah. You know, I mean, Low-Key has a rep actually when it comes to head kicks of not being, being pretty careful. But sometimes when you do head kicks, if the guy's head is just positioned, a little bit wrong, it can be devastating.
Actually, Low-Key, when they stopped the match, he immediately exits the ring, and Doug Gentry, he's the cameraman for Ring of Honor in our video, he took a swipe at Doug.
Really?
And yeah, Doug almost dropped his camera. I think he hit Doug in the face. I'm not sure though. I didn't get a good close look at that, but I did see him take a swing at him.
Huh. Oh, I don't know.
He was just standing there for like 5 minutes, just pacing around the ring, and I think Homicide trained both Key and Moff, or maybe Moff trained them, whatever. And Homicide came out and tried to calm Low-Key down. And as I was leaving the show, they had like a fire truck and an ambulance racing up to the building.
Yeah, they rushed him to the hospital, but he checked out okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, this is pretty good. Steve Carino got hurt too. For what I understand, Mike Johnson.
Oh, what? I heard something about what? He had a concussion.
He might have got a concussion. He bladed his arm.
Yeah, I knew that.
And he had stitches for that. He had 2 black eyes. I think he got cut in the back of the head, and I think it was Mike Johnson of One Wrestling. He reported that Carino had a ruptured eardrum or something.
That's right. That's what it was. It was a broken eardrum. Yeah, I did hear that.
But otherwise, I thought that was the best match of the night.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a good show. You know, main event notwithstanding.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about.
Okay, cool.
Okay, just keep up the good work. I really enjoyed Dan Waller's column on the SummerSlam history.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, he's probably listening, so I'm sure that he'll appreciate that. And if he's not listening, he'll probably read about it, so. Okay?
All right, thanks, Dave. Bye.
Okay, very welcome. All right, we are going to go to Carlo in West Haven, Connecticut. Carlo, what's going on?
How's it going, Dave?
Going pretty good.
I have a couple questions. I was reading your Hall of Fame thing last week. How did Gorilla Monsoon acquire the power? How did he get into the office as quickly as he did back in the 60s?
You know, I don't know the answer. He just, when I got into wrestling, he was just always there, and I don't know. Maybe because he had a college background and he was pretty good with numbers, and maybe he, I don't know, but and plus he was a big tough guy, and I think it helped Vince Senior and to have a tough guy kind of be his backup. You know what I mean? Because when Monsoon was young, he was like 350-pound. Shooter, you know what I mean? And like most of the, none of the wrestlers were as big as he was, and few of them had the wrestling skill he did. So, I mean, he was, so I think all those things probably got in there. And then when he was there, he was a power broker in wrestling. He owned part of Puerto Rico when Puerto Rico was booming. The exact way he got in the office, I'm not really sure. I'm just guessing that, because he was a tough guy and a smart guy. And he was very well respected, by most of the wrestlers. I know him and Bruno Sammartino never got along, although they worked well together.
Do you think in the 70s in the ring he was just going through the motions at that point?
When I was never impressed with Monsoon in the 70s. When I started, I saw Monsoon, on several occasions, many occasions. I was never impressed with him as a wrestler. And he got very, very heavy, very quickly. I think I don't know. I always got the impression that Monsoon was a guy who didn't really have a lot of respect for wrestling fans. Just because
based on Bobby Heenan's comment about if you're not in the business for the money, you're an idiot. It would lead me to think he wasn't really in it for titles and stuff like that.
No, Monsoon was a business guy, I think, and I think when they asked him why he got into wrestling, it was that or be a school teacher, and he made a whole lot more than he would have made teaching school. I know a lot of people who, were friends with the Gorilla and really thought the world of him. But when I would watch him as an announcer, I always thought he was talking down to people, and I never was a fan of Gorilla Monsoon as an announcer, and nor of Gorilla Monsoon as a wrestler. But he was, obviously very well loved within the WWE family, and the Gorilla position is named after him forever.
Another question. I don't know if you ever went on Tom Zing's website before.
I never did.
He had a weekly column where he would didn't have a lot of nice things to say about a lot of people, and he had actually pictures of the daily, the weekly Raw and everything. And for some on 1 week it went blank, and then now the column is gone. Which I was wondering if somebody filed some kind of threatened him with a lawsuit if Vince or somebody else did.
I haven't heard that, but it wouldn't shock me. But I haven't heard it.
Because I know he used still photos from TV, so I'm thinking maybe they did that.
Is there anything up there now?
He has a website, but he's just selling tapes and stuff like that. But he had a weekly column going for a while, and it's gone now without explanation.
Column's still up there?
No, I think the old columns are gone too.
Yeah, the old columns are gone.
Yeah, so that tells you someone probably threatened him. Yeah.
And I think one last thing: did Dynamite Kid wrestle under a mask in WWF at one point?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
There was a guy, Black Tiger, I think.
Black Tiger was Mark Rollerball Rocco that wrestled against the Cobra in the mid-'80s under a mask.
Oh, okay.
That was a British wrestler, Mark Hussey, who was really one of the great workers of his time. Most American fans who got Japanese tapes would have seen him 82, 83, but from what I gather, him and Marty Jones in the late 70s kind of revolutionized British wrestling. Very, he was a great worker, though.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to Kyle in St. Paul. Kyle, what's going on?
Dave, how you doing tonight?
Doing really good.
Good to hear. Hey, a couple callers ago, that kid that asked about girlfriend in his wrestling, I just wanted to let him know that women come and go, but wrestling is there forever.
I like to say that, but I don't know because of Vince right now.
I know that was my exact same thought.
I actually, and believe me, in prior relationships that I've had, I actually thought that at many times. but with this relationship I have, I'm kind of thinking it's going to outlast WWF. So I can't say that anymore.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, my advice for that guy would be to spend as much time with that girl or any other girl that would talk to him.
Okay.
Happened. All right. Anyways, I just want to, all joking aside, talk about Ray Webby here for just a second. I know you mentioned he passed away. I know he's been a guest on your show.
Yeah.
A couple of times. And I wanted to share a quick story. Two things. I found out at his memorial tonight. I had never known he had been born premature and weighed only 2 pounds.
I never knew that.
At birth. Either did I, yeah. Which explained a lot if you knew Ray, because he was always sick.
I knew that. I knew, yeah.
Years before, and fought all his life. But the story, Patrick Royce, is a columnist for the Star Tribune, told us yesterday was he took some boxers over to Japan. He thought it was Japan, might have been China.
It was China.
Was it China? You know this one? And
yeah, I actually do know the story. It was China, yeah.
Okay, and they were short a boxer, and so the guys convinced Ray to get into the ring to fill the spot. And so I guess as soon as he got in the ring, all he started to do was run around the ring. And Ray was, probably like $150, maybe 170 on a really good, year, and just started running away from the guy. And I guess they refused to pay him for it.
Oh.
And, I thought that summed up Ray.
Yeah. Kyle, you want to stick around because we got to head to a break?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay. Anyway, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to go back to Kyle in St. Paul. Kyle, what's going on?
So I want to talk about, before I get into Pride, the K1 tournament.
Yes.
Bob Sapp and Mike Tyson. I mean, I can't believe that didn't make the news anywhere.
I was so shocked when that thing was over. I'm going like, my God, they're going to be like all over everywhere. And I haven't seen anything anywhere. It's it's huge in Japan, of course.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew that was going to be big. But, I mean, especially with ESPN owning the rights.
I think that this is what I thought of. This is the only thing I can come up with as far as that goes. I think that maybe ESPN, the news people were like, we don't want to cover it because it'll look like we're covering something that we own. So we're going to back away unless somebody else covers it, and nobody else touched it with a 10-foot pole because they don't know what Pride. The boxing people don't want to cover it because they don't know what Pride is. And the boxing people are kind of the only sports fighting people because there are no UFC people in the mainstream news or K1 people. Like that stuff never gets mainstream anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But you would think that they would at least, even if you don't cover Sapp and Tyson, which is the biggest story, run the results, show a knockout. I mean that no one would accuse them of.
I'm surprised they didn't show the finish. I'm surprised that a lot of people didn't show the finish of the Sapp thing just because Sapp had gotten so much pub and but more because Tyson hit the ring and they did the pro wrestling stuff.
Well, yeah, I just can't believe that they didn't cover it at all. And that is bad for K1. I mean, I don't tell you where we are as far as...
It's bad for K1, and it's bad for UFC and Pride as well, because it shows that even... the big thing was if we got a big boxer... Remember all the Shannon Briggs stuff?
Right.
If they get a big boxer like Shannon Briggs and, the mainstream, that's what it tells me is that they won't cover that either. Now, if Mike Tyson actually were to fight Bob Sapp, everybody's going to cover it, don't you think?
They have to.
Yeah, they're going to have to, yeah.
Yeah, they would have no choice if he did it. But, I mean, it still wouldn't be as big as a real Mike Tyson boxing match.
No, but plus...
Of course, those last couple didn't get any coverage at all.
Yeah, the last one, I just remember a lot of coverage afterwards because people started thinking that it was pretty shady the way the knockout went.
Right. Yeah, it was shady, and it was. I mean, they couldn't even get. They had to run that on free TV or on Showtime. They couldn't get it even on pay-per-view.
That's right. It wasn't even a pay-per-view fight. You're right.
So yeah, I mean I think that's trouble for all of us as far as if we want to see it as a mainstream sport.
Yeah.
Real coverage. So
yeah, but
Pride tournament, I loved. I thought it was a great show. I thought it was great when Perry was sitting there going, "Oh, Rico had to win. Rico won that fight." I just was like, "You don't understand how it really works."
Talk about that either.
Oh, that was the thing is that you've got, I think a lot of people heard the commentary. And Mark Coleman, who's a wrestler at heart, and Boss, and they all thought that Rico Rodriguez won. But I think that Perry was so strong that Boss didn't want to contradict him.
And And then afterwards, you could tell Boss Guy wanted to be like, all right, let me try and explain how this really works.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen Boss like afterwards, you know, and say like, look, if you really look at the criteria of how they judge, you know, I mean, it's, you know, to me, I watched the fight the first time listening to those guys, and I thought that Rico won. And when they said that Nogueira won, I was like, you know, kind of a bad decision. I mean, I wasn't upset. I didn't think it was a robbery. I just, you know, maybe. Then, you know, I read the Pride criteria, and I go, you know what? It was probably the right decision. I rewatched the fight. I scored the fight. You know, I mean, in this week's Observer, I scored the thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, you know, if you read the scoring of the fight, it kind of, all things considered, I think Nogueira won. I mean, I watched it. I would go, you know what? It probably was a draw, but you know what? When you factor in the weight disadvantage, which is one of the criteria, Nogueira probably squeaked through and won. But either way, if Rico had won or Nogueira would have won, it's not a fix, it's not a fake, and it was close enough that either one could win. And I'm trying to remember who it was. One of the fighters actually was telling me this, and just goes, you know, when you fight a draw, which that was in his mind, if you can't cry that you lost because on a close fight, either guy can get it. I wouldn't have cried no matter who got the decision there, and I think people overreact on a close fight, you know, and they start talking about this and that and politics and this. And it's like, it was a draw fight, either guy could have won.
See, I guess I'm so jaded on stuff from Japan that it didn't even occur to me that it was a problem that he would win, and that it was, you know, going to be on a draw, the home team's going to win.
No, that's part of fighting. You're right about that too. On a draw, the home team's going to win. And
when Bob Sapp's in the ring and can't answer the bell, they're going to give him a little extra time and get him out there.
Especially when they got Mike Tyson sitting there waiting to an angle, they will.
Right.
But now, having said that, you know, I rewatched that fight.
Not there to be K1.
Okay, but I rewatched that fight, and you know, I've read a lot of the controversy about it, so I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I did not find that controversial because the knockdown, when Bob Sapp was knocked down and they said he had extra time, the fact was Chemo did not go to the corner.
Right. And when I'm talking about after.
Okay. In the rest period, but it was the Nevada doctor. It was not, you know, that said that it was still examining and going, you know, and I mean he did get extra time, absolutely, you know. But it was the doctor who gave him the extra time. It wasn't like K1 just held up the fight. And I mean, I'm not, you know, I know, like, Kakuta was in there, you know, the referee who's, you know, Nobuaki Kakuta, who's one of the promoters of K1. He was in there to give Bob Sapp every advantage possible. Don't question it. You know, it was not a work, it was not a fix, but yes, Kakuta's in there to help him, you know, any way he can within the realm of the rules. Yes, that I absolutely believe. All right, I mean, of course they do, because he's their meal ticket.
Yeah, you got to protect the guy that's going to make it. After all these years, I think the one thing we've learned is you got to protect the guy that's going to make it.
Well, you should, but you know, here's
at least a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, but you should. But no, here's the other part of this that is like, you know, I think one of the things that's really sad about martial arts fans, I'm going to get into this, is that they don't, you know, I shouldn't say by and large, but the ones that I read and even the reporters there, they don't understand business, you know, and I think, you know, Jeff Osborne actually, was the one who first told me, and he just goes, you know, the only people who understand the martial arts business are the ones who came from the wrestling background, because the rest of them look at it as a sport, and it's like, this is not baseball, and it's not football where it's going to go on forever. This thing depends on making stars, and then without those stars, without your superstars, this thing dies. You know, like, if there was no Sakuraba, there would be no Pride. If there was no Takada, there would be no Pride. Okay,
if there was Mike Tyson, there would be boxing right now. I mean, if there was something.
Well, boxing's more heavily entrenched than these other sports.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, you know, everyone's like, where's boxing? It's because all this stuff's going on. Boxing, if boxing had a Mike Tyson or a Sakuraba at that level, it'd be out there, just like, you know. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You got to have a star.
Yeah,
to get you there.
But you know, I mean, but when I read people going like, you know, how Bob Sapp is bad for K1, it's like, God, you guys don't get business.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, Bob Sapp isn't a good fighter. Bob Sapp is it's a freak show. There's no doubt about it. But he's carrying the company, no different than, you know, Hulk Hogan in the 80s. You know, people, you know, going like, you know, he wasn't a great technical wrestler, but you know what? You know, there was a time when he carried the company. There was a time when Steve Austin carried the company. You know, I mean, when those guys are hot, man, you know, Bill Goldberg was a perfect example. You know, and that I shouldn't say, because a lot of wrestling fans don't get it either. When Bill Goldberg had the potential to draw, the bottom line was he wasn't a great worker. He wasn't a great talker. God only knows why, but the bottom line is it was working, and when it's working, you feed what works until it doesn't work anymore. You don't cut it off before you make your money. You know, when you got money is not handed to you when it comes to promoting wrestling, mixed martial arts, or any of these things. You usually have to work really hard, and every now and then somebody comes along, God only knows why, like Bob Sapp, who's a money machine, and yeah, you know, you don't go, it's bad for the sport, because it's not. It's good for the sport. But he's gonna, he isn't that good, and it's gonna catch up at some point too.
That Goldberg example is actually a perfect example, because I remember sitting in the stands in '98 how much I hated Goldberg, and I wished he was gone, and I just wanted him dead because I hated all the fans there. And he came back this last time. I was like, get him in there. Let's get some people in the seats. Yeah. I don't really want to watch him on TV, but if it'll help the business, let's go.
Yeah. Well, but
I didn't realize that when you look.
Yeah, but the people in WWE this time, they were like they become like the fans that don't see business.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. Anything else?
And the one other thing for that kid, good wrestling, I want to say I've really enjoyed Noah and 0-1 this year. I thought both of them have been highly entertaining. So those are a couple others he could check out if he wants to find something that's good.
Yeah, a lot of good Noah. They had a tag team match on their July 16th big show, which was like a match of the year with the GHC Junior Championship with Jushin Liger and Takahiro Murahama against Kenta and Naomichi Marufuji.
Yeah, I'm way behind in my case. I'm still in June.
That match was like, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's what I read, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Okay.
Great, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, we're going to go to Carl in Haleyville, Alabama. Is this the Carl?
This is me.
Carl, well, it's very good to have you call on the show.
Well, it's great to be here. I really enjoy it. Hey, Bryan, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Hey, I want to ask you a question. Perhaps you can educate me a little bit. How does Bob Sapp's contract with K1 work? I mean, how is he able to fight with both Pride and K1? And if you were Pride, why are you not putting him all over TV over here?
Okay, the deal with Bob's, K1 owns his contract, but K1 and Pride work together, and they leased him out. They leased him to pro wrestling for some, New Japan and Wrestle One and things like that. They lease him out to other companies that want to use him, but they have the contract. I think they had about 13 fights left on the deal, and then
20-fight deal or something.
Yeah, I think it was a 20-fight deal. Yeah. Well, I don't remember. Yeah, some number like that.
If Pride is doing their occasional pay-per-views over here, why are they not marketing him stronger over here in the United States? He would be so much better than what they're putting on. I mean, there's just no marketing of him at all on Pride.
You mean Bob Sapp? Because they're afraid. The reason that they don't want to push Bob Sapp on their pay-per-views because they're afraid that they won't be able to get him. And I think that K1 will. I don't know if K1 will let Sapp fight. Because obviously anytime Pride can get Sapp, he will be there, and he hasn't been there. I think that K1 wants to use Sapp as much as possible and not let other people use up those dates because. They got all these, K1's got all these big shows, and they want Bob on as many of them as possible. Whereas last year they kind of, you got to remember, Bob wasn't as big until, super big until the Nogueira fight. And when they put him in those early fights in Pride, it was to get him over. And then the Nogueira fight just made him so big, even though he lost the fight. And then the only mixed martial arts fight he's actually done since then was the Takayama on New Year's Eve, which, was the best for everyone because, Takayama was a safe opponent, and it was a huge draw, just a phenomenal draw for TV. So it helped Bob, because he was going to get a big win over a big name, and it wasn't a lot of danger of him losing.
I also understand. I couldn't draw exactly how that was working out. I knew K1 was the primary contract, but I wasn't sure how Pride was using him or whatever.
Yeah.
I also got something else to run past you. It wasn't this past Thursday, but Thursday before last when Vince McMahon was on SmackDown with that T-shirt on. My gosh, who's got bigger arms, him or Hogan or who?
I don't know if he's got bigger arms than Hogan, but his arms are better, look better than Hogan.
When he was standing sideways, that was the largest human being to be his age I've ever seen on.
Oh yeah. I can't think of any pro bodybuilder at 58, that I can recall. I don't know, again, some of those, maybe some of them are that big, but, boy, I remember Ed Corney when he was 58, and he wasn't that big, and Ed Corney was, at 58 was, I don't know, maybe Albert Beckles or something, I don't know.
Nutrition, there's more knowledge about.
See.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lesson to learn from that, but I don't know what it is.
That no matter how much money you have, you're still insecure.
I see that.
I think that's the lesson.
I'll jump out of here, guys. I greatly enjoyed the show.
Okay, Carl, thanks very much, and I love your history stuff.
Hey, great. Thanks, Blake.
Okay, Carl Stern, who does Dragon King Update newsletter, a lot of great old-time wrestling history. I've learned a lot about wrestling in the 1800s. It's actually kind of fascinating stuff. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome to the final segment here on Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to go to Alan in Deerfield Beach. Alan, what's going on?
How's it going?
Going good.
I'm going to try to be brief. I have the 100 greatest wrestlers in front of me, and the situation that happened a couple weeks ago with the court case with Hogan, and I wanted to know a quick synopsis. Do you believe the judge was correct in her, decree that it was all a storyline, or was part of it really directed or defamation, or what is your take on the situation?
Okay. I think that the judge was wrong in thinking that it was the fictitious person of Vince Russo when he cut that promo against the fictitious person of Hulk Hogan. I watched that, and I believe that Vince Russo, the real Vince Russo, was cutting a promo on the real Terry Bollea. However, as far as defamation, I don't see how to the general public that they would have known the difference or taken it seriously, because every single professional wrestling promo, which that was in the context of, is defamatory in nature. So therefore her throwing it out, I think, was the correct decision, but I think that her thought that, in fact, when Russo was saying that he was, in fact, doing a total work, I do not believe that promo itself was a total work, although I do, obviously all the stuff beforehand, because they've all now testified that, the stuff with Jeff Jarrett laying down and all that was all, that they all agreed to that. They've all,
They agreed to that.
That has all come out, that, like we said,
the double cross?
Like we said from day one, that was all there, and the only thing that was that Hogan is claiming that the interview itself was a double cross. Russo is claiming, no, we agreed on that beforehand. I don't believe Russo, I believe Hogan, but nevertheless,
What's the case?
What? But the case is still going on as far as breach of contract, but not as far as the defamation's been thrown out.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, very welcome. We are totally out of time. Bryan, how are you?
Good.
That's good. This went way too quick. Yes. Anything to close with?
Hogan is bald.
Yes. And what was the point of that?
Or you statement that Russo made, so.
No, but he said actually a lot of the stuff he said was also kind of right on.
Yeah.
But it's still up because the judge did agree that Hulk Hogan's had creative control of his character, and she did believe that Hulk Hogan did not agree to that promo, even though she believed it was a pro wrestling promo and not a shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? So therefore, because he has creative control, he still can, he can still collect damages for contract violation, but not for defamation. So it's still
when wrestling goes to court.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the story on the Hogan lawsuit. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We'll see ya.